Going on, everybody? Welcome back to Talkin Sports with Jake. Hope you're all doing well. We are back in the studio. Season 4 is underway. And today we're going to do an NFL preview. So I'm going to go team by team, division by division, protect the division standings, give my overview of every team. I'll do my awards picks. I'll most likely do, actually, no, yeah, I should do that. I'll probably do my awards picks. I'll pick who's going to the playoffs in each conference and who wins the Super Bowl. May save that for maybe next show or sometime later this week. I'll make a decision as the show goes on. Before we start, we had some sad news in the wrestling world. Bray Wyatt, unfortunately, tragically passed away a few days ago. Was only 36 years old. Very, very sad news. He was one of a kind. There will never be another incredible talent. His characters were extremely unique, and everyone who's spoke out about him, all the other wrestlers have said, he was just a joy to be around. Was a wonderful man. Super kind. And very infectious. Like an infectious smile. It's a real shame. So rest in peace to Bray Wyatt. So let's get started. Let's start with the AFC East. So, very tough division. Pretty much every team got better for the most part. So as for who I have winning, I'm taking the Jets. my New York Jets, Jets. I'm on the train. I'm going to give the Jets 11 wins, and I think they win the division. They got the quarterback that they need. Also, they had as bad a quarterback you could possibly have last year in Zach Wilson. And now you got Aaron Rodgers, who's one of the greatest quarterbacks of all time. And even at 38 years old, is still a really good quarterback. Certainly one of the 10 best in the league. You had Dalvin Cook. Now you got a really good backfield with him and Breece Hall. You have Abonaconda, the rookie, who's looked really good in camp and in preseason. They gave Michael Carter the last spot over Bam Knight. I expect to see more Dalvin Cook towards the first half of the year, and in the second half, we'll see more Breece Hall. Breece Hall coming off a torn ACL. Receiving core, they got rid of Denzel Mims, and Corey Davis shockingly retired, but they still have Garrett Wilson, who I think might be one of the 5 best receivers in the league at this time next year. Him and Rodgers, that connection is going to be fantastic. Alan Lazard, of course, has the connection with Aaron Rodgers. He's very good. Michael Hardman's a speed threat. Big play waiting to happen. He's helped return kicks for the Jets as well, probably. Got a lot of speed. He's coming off a Super Bowl win. And then after that, after the first 3 receivers doesn't look great, but I do think there's some young guys that could surprise some people. They got a kid, Jason Brownlee, I think his name is, an undrafted free agent who's looked really good in camp, really good in preseason. He made the team. I think Malik Turner might be on the team. He's the guy who caught that long pass from Zach Wilson in the Hall of Fame game. I believe he was in Green Bay with Aaron Rodgers, so he's got the rapport there. I like the tight ends. Conklin's pretty good. O-line, people are talking about a lot. I think they're overthinking the offensive line a little bit, a lot of people. DeJuan Brown will be the left tackle. He's still solid, even at 38. Left guard will be Laken Tomlinson, who was very good. Obviously, he knows solid from their time in San Francisco together. The center will be McGovern, who's pretty good. The right guard will be Elijah Vera Tucker, who they'll have help this year. He's really good, really young. The right tackle, hopefully McCutcheon can stay healthy. He's gotten himself back into football shape. He's been healthy through camp and preseason. Looked really good in the preseason. We all know the guy can play, but hopefully he can stay on the field. You got Joe Tippmann as a guy who can play on the inside. If you have an injury, you have Max Mitchell, a guy who can come in and play tackle if need be. So, if they're healthy, I think the O-line I do believe will be fine. Defense is phenomenal. Was a top 8 unit last year, and they got even better. Their front 7 is extremely deep. Obviously Sauce Gardner, I believe, is the best corner in football. You have DJ Reed. You had Adrian Amos in there from a Green Bay Packer at safety there. So I'm very excited about the Jets season. People trying to point out holes in them. They're going to be nitpicking Chris as the whole year because they're a team that goes that's always been bad, and they bring in a big names through free agency and through trades, and now all of a sudden there's a lot of expectations for them to be a serious contender. But the only issues I see is maybe the offensive line, because I think it's more health issues than. I think the overall group is a solid group. I think there's a chance to be a real solid offensive line. We don't know if Becton can stay healthy. Vera Tucker coming off an injury. DeJuan Brown's 30 years old. He was injured during the offseason. He's only active off the pup list, I think, 2 weeks ago. Their health, I think they'll be very good. People talk about, Nathaniel Hackett. He is not nearly as bad as a head coach he is as an offensive coordinator. He's actually a pretty decent offensive coordinator. Him and Aaron Rodgers are very close. He won 2 MVPs with Nathaniel Hackett. The second came only 2 years ago in Green Bay. He'll be fine. And to me, Rodgers is running the offense. Hackett doesn't have as much say as the OC usually would. People talk about Saleh. That one is fair. I'm not sold on him yet, but I always liked him. I liked him in San Francisco. I liked the move when they hired him, and I'm not going to give up on him. As many things that I've nitpicked in the past about him when it comes to his clock management, and some other things that he did that I haven't loved. He also won 7 games with the worst quarterback in the NFL, and the pathetically bad offensive line. He basically didn't have an offense last year and he won 7 games. Yes, losing 7 of your last 8 games last year, or whatever it was, 6 of your last 7 is not a good look, but I still believe in Robert Saleh. Even if he's just he always has to do is just be okay, and the Jets should at least be a 10-win team. The team is really, really good. So I'm very excited about the Jets. I got them winning the division. In second, I have Buffalo Bills. I got them at 10-7. I think the Bills are still really good. Josh Allen is a stud. No question about it. People said this and that about him. I will say he needs to run, I think, a little less because he gets worn out by the time the playoffs come around. But doesn't mean he's a bad quarterback. He is still a top 3 quarterback in the league. Absolute superstar. I do think the running will be a little better. I think Damian Harris is a slight upgrade over Devin Singletary. And their defense being healthy will be really good. Von Miller's going to miss the first 4 games that they just announced. But they should have him by week 5. You brought in Leonard Floyd this offseason. He's very good. You have Ed Oliver in the middle. Apparently, I believe there's a report they might be trading Boogie Basham to the Giants, so that's one guy they lose. He's been a Boston's being a second-round pick a couple of years ago, but they have, I think, got enough depth there. The secondary, I think, will be a lot better. They'll be healthy. Get Tre'Davious White healthy. He's a really good corner. Even Kyra Lam, who's a rookie last year, now going into his second year. Taron Johnson, Masala, having Hyde and Poyer together at safety healthy. Even DeMar Hamlin, shout out to him for overcoming everything he's overcome. It looks like he's going to be a factor this year. This still should be very good. A couple issues with them is... Actually, there's a bunch. I think this team has more holes than you think. First of all, I think their offensive line is terrible. Outside of the left tackle, Dion Dogs, and the center, Mitch Morris, their O-line is terrible. The right tackle, Spencer Brown, is terrible. I don't even know who the guards are. Their offensive line is not good. Although I think their running back room is a little bit better. It still isn't great. I like Harris in a committee. Commit to the leader of a committee. He's a solid back. He's very good around the goal line, but he also has trouble staying healthy. And I like James Cook, but I do not think he's a 3-down back. I think he's a good change of pace back, 3rd-down guy, can catch the ball, but not really a 3-down back. So I'm not sure if they have a true 3-down back. That's been their issue for years now. And I love Stephon Diggs. He's a stud, their top receiver. I like their tight ends. Dalton Kincaid, first round pick, I think is very good. I think she'd be a red zone threat. I like Dawson Knox. He's pretty good. But the rest of the receiving core, I think, is pretty weak. Gabe Davis is really, besides the 200-yard playoff game, which is a phenomenal game, he hasn't really done much. He's an okay 3, but I don't really think he's even a solid 2. And besides that, it's Khalil Shakir and a bunch of other Jags. And defensively, their linebacking core, they lose Tremaine Edmonds. Roy didn't replace him, and that's a big loss. They still have Matt Milano, who's really good, especially in coverage, and AJ Klein's there. But losing Edmonds is a big loss. And also, when it comes to the coaching, I like Sean McDermott, but he hasn't been able to really get over the hump, and at some point you gotta realize, okay, if this team just can't get over the hump, they need to make a change. And it's much easier to fire a head coach and find a new one than to maybe move a top player, whether that be Von Miller or Stephon Diggs or whoever that would be. Also, the offensive corner Ken Dorsey, I do not think is very good at all. I think it's one of the main reasons Stephon Diggs is having all the turmoil. That's another thing. I don't think Diggs is happy there. Don't care what he says. I think it's his last year in Buffalo. I think he'll be traded in the offseason. So, if you think with the Bills, they are still a good team. I'll give them 10 wins and they'll be in the playoffs. In third place, I have the New England Patriots. I have them winning 9 games this year. So I think New England, I think Mac is better quarterback than he showed last year. He was very good as a rookie. He threw 22 touchdowns against only 10 picks. He had almost 4,000 yards. Now they get a real offensive coordinator in Bill O'Brien. They go out and get Juju Smith-Schuster, who's definitely an upgrade over Jacoby Myers, I believe. In my opinion, I think he's significantly better than Jacoby Myers. They go out and get a good pass catching tight end in Mike Gesicki. I like the Zeke move for this reason. The Patriots offense is a very old school offense. They need to be a really good running team, and they gotta play really good defense. They have a good defense. Is it great? I don't know. I like the D-line. Judon Uche is a really good pass rush tandem. I don't love the linebacking core on the inside. It isn't great. I love the young corner Christian Gonzalez, 17th pick, complete steal. He'll be really good. You have Kyle Duggar at safety. They brought back Jonathan Jones, so their team should get decent pressure on the quarterback. Maybe hard to throw on, but I think you'll be able to run on the Patriots. And also, like I said, Mac, I do not think is near the quarterback he was last year. He wasn't as bad as nearly as that, but I still don't think he's a franchise guy. He's like a top 12 guy, like a Kirk Cousins. Maybe not as poor in big games. So he's like not a guy that's gonna completely elevate your team, but if you have enough around him, he can do some good things. Also, the offensive line I don't think is great. The interior is pretty good. You have Andrews in the middle. The guards are Owenu's very good. Even Cole Strange did some good things last year. I think he's a guy who very weird pick, but it might actually not be so bad. But the tackles are a problem. The right side, you have Riley Reiff, who's a little better than Isaiah Wynn, who was awful. A horrendous pick by Belichick. But he's also still not that good. He's pretty much washed. On the left side, who's the left tackle? Is it Connor McDermott? I don't know. So, they're not... I don't really know how much better they truly are. So, I'll say and they're in a really tough division. Look, they dominated for 2 decades. They got to lose at some point. They'll be 9-day, and I don't think they'll be in the playoffs. Miami Dolphins, I have in last place. I have them at 7-10. Okay, if you look at the roster, it looks like one of the league's best rosters. Look at the weapons that Tua has. Mostert and Wilson played well down the stretch last year. Obviously, they know McDaniel's offense. Hill and Waddle is the best receiver duo in the league. They're the fastest offense in the league. You have Chosen Anderson there for depth. You brought in Braxton Barris for depth. He's a pretty good kick returner. Defensively, I like the front 7 there. I really do. If Christian Wilkins in the middle, you have Dwayne Phillips, a former first-round pick. You have Ogba. But also, the secondary, I don't think is that good. Especially with Jalen Ramsey missing possibly the first 3 months with knee surgery that he's injury suffered in camp. I think Xavier Howard's still a good corner, but I don't think he's quite as elite as he was anymore. He's like a top 10 to 12 corner in the league, but not top 5 like he was a couple of years ago. Not the same guy that had 10 picks a couple of years ago. The number 2 corner might be Eli Apple right now, and he's terrible. Their top heavy is Brandon Jones, who's just okay. Also, the offensive line's been a problem for years. Left tackle Armstead's very good, but he also has trouble staying healthy. And the rest of the line, Robert Hunt isn't very good. Austin Jackson isn't very good. Both those picks haven't worked out. I'm not sold on McDaniel, and of course, Tua. When healthy, when he has pieces around him, he's very good. But he's one hit away from his career being over. And I hope it doesn't happen. But that's the truth. He's one hit away from his career being over. He's very injury prone. I'm not confident that he's going to be able to stay healthy, especially considering that he almost retired this offseason. He sat down with family and considered it. He did like jiu-jitsu or something to like try to like help with the head injuries. I do like that I do think he worked hard in the offseason. He came in a little thicker, which I think is a good thing. I mean, look, something that people don't realize that a lot of guys do that because you run so much, obviously, so you lose weight throughout the season. So you come in a little heavier, so that when you lose a few pounds throughout the year, you kind of eventually you'll drop back down to like your normal weight. So I thought that was a good fitness decision by Tua. I really do. But especially behind an offensive line, I don't have confidence that he's not going to miss at least 3 or 4 games this year. So I do think Miami's a little overrated. I think their roster is very good, but I don't think it's quite as talented and as deep as people are saying it is. And they're just in a really tough division. Talent-wise, they're probably the third. I think talent-wise, they're better than the New England Patriots. But I think there's more, like, the Patriots are just more experienced, and I think Miami might have, their holes are a little more glaring. Both teams have holes, but I think the Dolphins' holes are in just bigger spots, like quarterback and corner and offensive line. The Patriots are more like, wide receiver, linebacker. So I have Miami finishing in last place in the division. AFC North. I got the Bengals winning the division. I got them at 12-5. Joe Burrow's a stud. When it comes to his calf injury, I don't think it'll be a problem. I really don't. They have maybe the best offense in the league, maybe besides the Chiefs. The best receiver trio in the league with Jamar Chase, who's a dog, absolute stud. T. Higgins is phenomenal. Tyler Boyd, you have Mixon at running back. O-line should be better with bringing in Brown, and you move Jonah Williams to the right side with Lyle Collins could be a guy because he's making a lot of money for a backup. They look to trade or cut him, but for now he's there. They got Alex Kappa on the inside as well, a guard. Even the center, Ted Karras, is pretty good. So off the line, if they're healthy, should be a lot better. They're solid defensively, nothing crazy, but they're going to score so much. I love Trey Hanson and Tim Hubbard, very underrated. They have DJ Reader in the middle. Logan Wilson and Jermaine Pratt are solid linebackers. Their safeties, losing Bell and Bates is tough. Definitely downranking now with Dax Hill, first runner last year, and then probably going to mean either Nick Scott from a Ram or the rookie Jordan Battle. I do like the third rounder, so we'll see what happens. But their corners with Mike Hilton and Chubby Awuzie, I really like. So, Bengals should, once again, I wouldn't be surprised if they're right back in the conference championship again. If not in the Super Bowl, I got them at 12 wins and then with the AFC North. In second place in the AFC North, I have the Baltimore Ravens. Almost the Cleveland Browns. Baltimore Ravens. I do think the Ravens are being a little overhyped. But I do think they're a playoff team. So, Lamar got his shine new deal. I've been outspoken of how much I hate that deal. But he signed. Right now, he's healthy. Right now, Dobbins and Gus Edwards are healthy. If they're healthy, that is a really good running back duo. I think the O-line's pretty good. They revamped the receiving core. I love Zay Flowers, first-round draft pick, the rookie. They're bringing OBJ. They bring in Nigel. You have Bateman healthy. Obviously, you have Mark Andrews. You have, defensively, they're solid. Their linebacking core is fantastic. They got some young pass rushers I like. David Ohabo's the guy. If he wasn't hurt, if he didn't get hurt at the combine, he would have probably been a top 10 pick in the second rounder. I think he could surprise people. Old Dave Olaf from a first rounder who I think has some talent. Corner Marlon Humphrey's hurt, but shouldn't miss too much time to be back, relatively soon in the beginning of the regular season. Really good safety duo of Kyle Hamilton and Marcus Williams. Harbaugh's a good coach. I do think he needs to make some progress, though. He's only had 2 playoff wins since a Super Bowl win back in 2012, 11 years ago. But I do like Harbaugh a lot. Again, they got to stay healthy. And I do think they're being overhyped. Like, they gave Odell Beckham $50 million. He didn't play a single snap last year. He hasn't been healthy in, like, for a full season in, like, 5 years. Like, what's to say he's all of a sudden going to come in and be a 1,000-year receiver? But I do think they're a solid team. I'll give them 10 wins in the playoffs. All right, on third place, I have the Cleveland Browns. I had them at 9-8. If you look at the roster, they look like a team that shouldn't win less than 10 games. Deshaun Watson for a regular offseason. The rust is gone. And, we saw what he was in Houston. He was a top 7 quarterback at worst. Chubb's a stud. Really good offensive line. Maybe the league's best. You have some nice weapons. You had Elijah Moore. You already have Amari Cooper, who's really good. Peoples-Jones. Njoku at tight end. On defense, you add Darius Smith across from Myles Garrett. That's going to be a scary duo. You had Delvin Tomlinson in the middle. You had Juan Thornhill with safety. You have Grant Delpit and Denzel Ward in that secondary. On paper, this team is really good. But a couple issues. First of all, I'm not sold on Kevin Stefanski as the head coach. I'm not. I like what he did his first year. Was coach of the year. Was the first Browns head coach to win a playoff game in a very long time. But since then, really haven't loved the thing he's done. He's had quarterback issues and off the field stuff that he can't control. But he's at the end of that, he has had very good rosters that he's gone 7-10 with. He's been under 500 with. He's had rosters that are good enough to win easily 9 or 10 games. And he's won 7, so that's a concern with me. Is Watson the same player? I wouldn't be surprised if he was a top 7-8 quarterback this year, but we haven't seen him be that in 3 years. So I don't know. And also, it's the Browns. The Browns are the Browns. I'm hoping something doesn't go wrong for their sake, but I wouldn't be surprised if it does. So I'll say they go 9-8. In last place, I have the Pittsburgh Steelers. I have the Steelers also at 9-8. So again, if you look at the Steelers roster, it's actually very good. In fact, it's probably very underrated. And there's no reason they can't be a 10-win team. I love Najee Harris. The O-line's a lot better. You draft Robert Jones to play left tackle. You bring Isaac Samar, a really good offensive guard. You get him from Philly in free agency. I love Deontay Johnson and George Pickens. That's a really underrated receiver duo. Fryer's a good tight end. I love Donald Washington. Great blocker. Can catch the ball as well. TJ Watt, Cam Hayward, and Alex Haifa on my D-line is fantastic. Mike Tomlin's a phenomenal coach. But a couple issues. I think Matt Canada's a horrible offensive coordinator. Not sure why he still has a job. I don't love the secondary. Outside of Minka Fitzpatrick, it's a little weak. You lose Cam Sutton in the offseason. And also, not sure about Kenny Pickett. I wasn't sold on him coming out last year. They took him in the first round. They were 23rd overall or something like that. His first few games last year, I thought, this dude is awful. Get him off the field. But as the year went on, he made some strides. Has a couple game-winning drives, he made some strides and almost got Steelers to the playoffs. But now there's expectations. He got to show that he can push the ball down the field. He's got to show that he can be accurate with the football. So and the Steelers are a team that's a proud franchise. 6 Super Bowl trophies. Countless Hall of Famers. Since they were in the Super Bowl all those years ago. Since their last Super Bowl was 2009 or 2008 or 2010 or something. They really haven't done one. They haven't won a lot of playoff. They've only won maybe 3 or 4 playoff games in the last decade or so. Tomlin's never had a losing season in 16 years, but he's also had a lot of 9-7, 9-8, 8-8, 8-7-1, 8-1 years. And at some point, you got to realize if they're stuck in that mediocrity, where the best case scenario is they're a 9-8, they get the 7th seed and get blown out in the first round. At some point, they gotta change something so that they can get advance forward. Because in this league, it's what you gotta do. So, a couple of holes with them. So I'll say they're 9-8. AFC South. Jacksonville Jaguars winning the division. It's not going to be remotely close. The rest of that division, besides the Jaguars, is pitifully bad. There is not a playoff team in that division besides Jacksonville, and it isn't even remotely close. I got Jacksonville at 11-6. Lawrence is going to continue to get better. He's a superstar in the making. That offense is going to score a lot. I'm telling you. That offense is so good. ETN's a great back. The same with number 2, the rookie Bigsby, apparently they really like, and he might have a role. They got a very good offensive line. Having Calvin Ridley here, a 1,400-yard receiver last time we saw him. And his head's on straight now. Christian Kirk had a big year last year. Zay Jones, Evan Engram. They should score a lot of points. The defense isn't scary, but it's decent. I love Josh Allen. Not the one from the Bills, the one from the Jaguars. He's very good. Inside they got Fadakasi and they got somebody else too. They got Roy Robertson Harris. 2 guys that are really good against the run. I like the young linebacker Devin Lloyd you drafted in the first round last year. And so, the defense will be just okay, but I think they're going to score a lot. It's kind of like the same thing with the Bengals. The defense is average. It's a little mediocre, but the offense is going to be scoring 30 points every week. Jacksonville's defense, a little mediocre, yeah, but the offense could easily put up 27, 28 points every week. And they're gonna steamroll in that division. They could go 6-0 in the division. They should not be worse than 4-2 in the division, if not 5-1. They'll be between 4-2 and 6-0 in the division. So if they go even 4-2 in the division, and they got to go 7-5 the rest of the way, they're a good football team. They can absolutely do that. Outside of the Chiefs and the Bengals, there isn't a team that all right, that's going to be a real challenge for them. There'll be other games that they lose. If the Jets play them, I love the Jets. That's a game that can go either way. They're both very, very good teams. If the Jets won, along with being happy, I wouldn't be surprised. If the Jets lost, along with being sad they lost, I wouldn't be surprised either. Jacksonville is a freaking good team. I got them at 11 wins, and this team is going to be a team that's really young, and they're going to be good for a long time. In second place in this terrible division, I got the Tennessee Titans. So, I don't like the quarterback situation one bit. Tannehill is not that good. He's washed. He's a below-average quarterback now, if you ask me. Malik Willis is awful. Not sure if it's worth keeping on the roster. And I don't like Will Levis. I think he's going to be horrible. And DeAndre Hopkins, a really good move. Outside of him, there's Treylon Burks, who I'm not that high on. He's already hurt, I think. The weapons aren't good. Besides Derrick Henry, they have no weapon. Their offensive line is atrociously bad. It might be the worst offensive line in the league. It wasn't good last year, and they cut 3 starters. They cut Ben Jones, who had been there forever. They cut Taylor Lewan on the left tackle, and then somebody else. And then the right guard, Nate Davis, signed somewhere else in free agency. I like them driving Peter Skronsky in the first round. Whether they put him at tackle or a guard, they'll find a place for him. I think he's very good. But their offensive line is going to be bad. Their defense is okay. I like them getting Harold Landry back. You have Jeffrey Simmons in the middle. Other than that, the pass rush isn't that good. The front 7 isn't that good besides those 2. The secondary besides Kevin Byard, I don't love. Outside of Mike Vrabel, their head coach, who I really like, and Derrick Henry, still up top to the back of the league, their team isn't good. And I guess DeAndre Hopkins, but even him, he's getting a little bit older. If it wasn't for, having 2 very bad teams in the Houston Texans and Indianapolis Colts in their division, I would say they wouldn't have more than 5 wins. Because they could go 3. They could win 3 games. They could go 500 in their division. I'll give them 7 wins. In third place are the Indianapolis Colts. I got them at 5-12. Look, I like what the Colts are building. They finally are out of quarterback purgatory with all the old dudes. They got a young quarterback in Anthony Richardson now. I like Frank Reich. Not Frank Reich. He's not there anymore. I always think he's still there for some reason. I like Shane Steichen. I think he's a good young head coach. But this team is a team that next year, I think they could do some damage. It's just not the year. They're very young. The quarterback position is as raw as I've seen the quarterback drafted in the top 10 in my lifetime. Now Jonathan Taylor probably getting trades. Now Deion Jackson, the running back, one of the top two receivers are Michael Pittman and Alec Pierce. Pittman, I think, is a really good two. I'm not sure if he's a one. Pierce, I like him. We'll see what happens. The tight end, Malawi Cox, is good once a year. He's not that good. The O-line might be a little better. Quentin Nelson's a stud. Yeah, Braden Smith, Ryan Kelly, but still isn't great. Defense is okay. I love DeForest Buckner. Quiddy Pay, I think, is very talented. They have having Shaq Leonard, I think, will definitely help. But I don't think the secondary is great. You have a rookie head coach, a rookie quarterback who's very raw. They're gonna have a hard time running the ball probably. This isn't the year. I'll say 5-12. Last place I have the Houston Texans at 4-13. Look, I think the Texans, who have just been shooting themselves in the foot over and over and over again for years. Something's always going wrong. From the Bill O'Brien ruining their team to the Watson thing to just bringing in these just mediocre coaches that you fire after 1 year. What do you expect them to do with these awful rosters? I think they're finally trending in the right direction. I love D'Amico Ryans. I like Stishred a lot. And they got some young pieces on both sides of the ball that I like. But there's going to be a lot of growing pains. They got a rookie head coach, D'Amico Ryans. I believe 2 rookie coordinators, a rookie quarterback. And then besides that, you have a young back in Pierce who I do like. They have 3 young receivers who I like in John Mechie. Shout out to him for overcoming leukemia. He's going to play this year. Basically a rookie. Didn't play last year as a rookie. Nico Collins and the rookie Tank Dell, who I really like. But they're all really, really young. The O-line is not good besides Laramie Tunsil. The defense, Will Anderson does not have a lot of help up front. They just cut their best linebacker in Christian Kirksey for some reason. Secondary, they have Stingley, who I like. I like Pittry a lot, but they're really young. They got a lot of rookies that they're playing. There's going to be a lot of growing pains. I'll say 4-13. AFC West, Chiefs are winning it. I'll say 12-5. I don't care with the rest of the roster. First of all, their receiving, people say this and that about it. I think it's underrated. I think if Kadarius Toney can stay healthy, he fits his offense very well. I think he can do some nice things. I like Sky Moore a lot. If this kid, Justin Ross, can stay healthy, they've been raving about him in camp. At Clemson, he was a stud, but he hasn't been able to stay on the field at all. He could be a potential sleeper. I also think got the league's best tight end and one of the greatest of all time in Travis Kelce. Offensive line is really good. And with the defense, I don't buy Chris Jones just sitting out half the season. I do not buy that at all. I don't buy it. You have to play at Pat Mahomes, Kelce, and Reed. You've already won 2 Super Bowls. Chance for a third. If you stay long enough, you could have possibly 3, 4, 5 Super Bowls. Numbers he's put up, he could be up there for the Hall of Fame. I don't think he's sitting out half the year. I know he's in last year of his deal. Maybe he should be paid a little more. He's making $20 million. Suck it up. Tell your agent to get the thing done and go play. They'll figure something out. And I do like George Kalafis, the first round DN from last year. Overall, I don't like their defense. First of all, the defense wasn't good last year. They got lit up in the Super Bowl. Lit up, and they still won the damn thing. As long as Patrick Mahomes is there, Travis Kelce is there, and Andy Reid is there, I don't care who the rest of the coaches are, who the weapons are, who's on defense, they'll be fine. 12-5, they'll cruise in the AFC West. In second place, I'll be Los Angeles Chargers. I gotta get them at 9-8. Look, Herbert is a stud. No questions about it. And their offense is insanely talented. Eckler's a stud. Incredible pass catcher. Keenan Allen, Mike Williams is a great duo. Now you got Quentin Johnson, who I think is pretty good. You have Everett's pretty good at tight end. But a couple things. The offensive line I don't think is that good. I think the defense is extremely overrated. Bosa and Klumak are really good, but Bosa's always hurt. Klumak's getting a little older. Still really good, but a little bit older, and he's had some injury problems the last couple years as well. Besides those 2 guys, who I just said, who are always hurt, and Khalil Mask is getting older, is not good. And Brandon Staley is a horrible head coach. How he was able to even get on the plane back to Los Angeles, or back wherever, the Jacksonville host stuff left, get back to Los Angeles is amazing to me. Why does he have a job? I don't understand. Is Kelmore a better offensive coordinator than Joe Lombardi? Yeah. He is, a little bit. But I don't think it's going to make much of a difference. Plus, I think Kelmore's overrated anyway. They're 9-8. They will waste another year of Herbert's career. Thank God he's got his contract. They're almost better off not making the playoffs. They might be better off, so they could fire Staley and get an actual head coach in there. How do you have a defensive minded head coach and your defense is just pitifully awful? I don't understand. In third place, I have the Denver Broncos. Can we stop pretending like Sean Payton is just going to wave a magic wand and turn this not very good Broncos team into a playoff contender? Like, they're not that good. People are like, well, they're better than last year. Yeah, they couldn't get any worse. Their fans had to count down the play clock so the offense knew when to snap the ball. Hackett, who I just hyped up with the Jets, like I said, I don't think he's that bad of a corner, but he is a atrociously bad head coach. Peyton's a very good coach. But he's not going to just wave a magic wand and fix Russell Wilson. He ain't Drew Brees. Yes, Brees had that major shoulder injury that we thought he'd never play again. But I don't know, he was great, and Peyton just elevated him a little bit. Russell Wilson is washed. Would he be a touchdown last year? Maybe. But he's not that good. The receiving core is already depleted. Judy's at the start of the season. He'll probably be back shortly, but he's always hurt. You know, Tim Paxton's out for the year again. KJ Hamler's battling something. But they just cut Albert else towards Greg Dulcich season. A rule, I made a new rule for my podcast. No slander for Greg Dulcich. Love that man. And I like the running game with Javonte Williams and P. Ryan. And the O-line will be a lot better. You got Mike McGlinchey and Nate Davis. It'll definitely be better. For sure. I like their defense. You know, secondary is really, really good. But I also don't think their pass rush is as good as it was last year. Of course, Bobby Chubby traded at the deadline last year. Draymond Jones left in free, so I don't think they'll get as much pressure on the quarterback as they have in past years. Front seven isn't as good as it's been in past years. So I think quarterbacks will have time to throw. And Pat Mahomes just never played in their division. They're going to have a hard time with that. And I think you can run on them a lot. They're not that good. I'll give them... I think I'll 7-10. I really don't think they're that good. I mean, last place, they have the Las Vegas Raiders, where I think go 4-13. That offense has potential to score a lot. Jimmy G is a solid star with pieces around him. They signed Jacobs, who came off a rushing title. Devontae Adams is a superstar. Renfro's pretty good. You have you brought in Myers, who's not a bad 3. You draft Mayer, who isn't Darren Waller. That trade was awful, but I do like the talent on him. But the offensive line is horrible. Josh McDaniels is the worst coach in football. He sucks. Jimmy G, I think, is going to get hurt. He's always hurt. They were considering voiding his contract in OTAs because he failed the physical. The defense is pathetic. They saw that defense last year and I thought, let's not add to it at all. Like, what is Dave Ziegler doing? He's no better than Mike Mayock. I'm sorry. He's just not. Now, Max Crosby is fantastic. A beast. Very underrated. One of the league's best pass rushers. But Chandler Jones is washed. I don't know if I can name their defensive player on that team. They're awful. They are not good. They ain't beating the Chiefs. They might win twice against the Chargers and Broncos, even that's a stretch. They suck. 4-13. Now to the NFC. Let's go to the NFC East, which is also a loaded division. Which I have the Eagles winning. I know we haven't had a division winner in a division winner to win the division 2 years in a row in like 20 years or something. But the Eagles are just so good. I don't know how they don't. Hurts is a stud. He's only going to get better. A.J. Brown, Devonta Smith, and Dallas Goedert's weapons is absolutely crazy. And they're still going to be a top running team. I know Sander. I know Penny and Swift have injury concerns, but if they're healthy, it's an underrated duo. Plus, that running room is really deep. You also have Kenneth Gainwell there, who's pretty good. Boston Scott, certified New York Giants killer, is a good pass catcher. They will be fine. Still have a great offensive line. The defense is insanely good. The pass rush is the best pass rush I've ever seen in the last 10 years. It's insanely good. Very deep of all those Georgia players. Secondary is still really good. You still have Slay and Bradbury there. I know you lose. You have different safeties, but Electro Edmonds. I think Sammy Adams is a great coach. And I know they had a lot of turnover for a team that just went to the Super Bowl, but so we lose both their coordinators. The new OC is Brian Johnson, who was their quarterbacks coach last year. It was a hot name for offensive coordinators. If they didn't promote him, he would have been LC somewhere else. So how's that much? And the whole offense is back. The only guy that's not on there is Miles Sanders, who they replaced, and Isaac Samuel, and they have enough, and their offensive line is deep enough to where they'll be able to protect against that loss. Hurts is still there, Devonta Smith's still there, J. Brown's still there, Goddard's still there, the whole O-line is besides Samuel's there. They will be fine. People need to start pretending like, the Eagles, because they swapped a couple players out, are gonna go from the league's best team in the regular season and this close to winning the Super Bowl over freaking Patrick Mahomes to not even being in the playoffs. Like, come on. Their schedule's a lot harder this year, but they're still winning 12 games and winning the division. Dallas Cowboys, I have in second place at 10-7. Okay, look, they got a really talented offense. I love Pollard. I think he'll be unleashed this year. People saying, he could overwork considering he's never had more than 200 carries. I don't think he'll be as heavily used as you think because of Deuce Vaughn. I do think he'll have a role. I know he's like 5'5". That being said, when you think about it, especially considering he's really fast and shifty, if you can't really see where he is, it might be hard to tackle. CeeDee Lamb, Brett, and Coach Michael Goblin, receiver room is very, very good. The O-line is very good. Defense is very good. Micah Parsons, as an only edge rusher, might have 20 sacks this year. Plus DeMarcus Lawrence on the other side. I like Van Rich if he's healthy at linebacker. Diggs, the top, is a really good corner. But also, Mike McCarthy, not a great head coach. Very overrated. A lot of pressure on him. With him calling the plays now, they got rid of Kellen Moore. And Dak Prescott is so overrated. He's not bad. He's a decent quarterback. But he is not elite by any means. Well, to me, whenever Dallas wins, he, helps out. He's part of the reason, of course. But, also, it was either they also ran the ball really well, or one of the receivers went off, or their defense had a big game. When they lose, it's always his fault. I don't buy it because they're going to run the ball a little bit more. That he's going to go from leading the league in picks with missing 5 games to having 8 picks this year. Not going to happen. They'll go 10-7. They'll sneak into the playoffs and lose in the first round. And McCarthy will get fired and Dak might get traded. Or Jerry Jones will keep him. I don't know. Jerry Jones just does what he wants, I guess. In third place, I have the New York Giants. I have them at 9-8. So Giants were a big surprise last year, making the playoffs, winning a road playoff game. Not sure if they'll have the same success though this year. Daniel Jones is not the god-awful quarterback he was his first 3 years, but I think last year's about what he is. He's a decent starter. They signed Saquon, cool. But the offensive line, it should be better. Andrew Thomas is a stud. He's got a big deal. Evan Neal, who struggled last year, but I do think he'll be better. But yeah, you also have, a second-year right tackle. You have a rookie center. I like Golubinski, but the other guy, I couldn't even tell you who it is. The receiving core isn't that much better than it was last year. It still isn't very good. They don't have a one. I don't know if they have a receiver 2 on the roster. Is their best receiver Paris Campbell? He's a 3. Is Jalen High, who's a 3rd-round rookie? I don't really know. They just activated one of the pup list, and they cut Jameson Crowder. So, they went into game with, 7 receivers who, all you could say deserve to be on the roster, but none of them are really scaring you. And outside of Saquon, they're back, and then Darren Waller, who's a really good tight end, if he's healthy. Weapons still are good defensively. Lawrence and Williams inside is fantastic. And I like their front 7 overall. I like them picking up Isaiah Simmons, and they pick up Boogie Basham as well in a trade. But their secondary isn't great. Brian Dable is a phenomenal coach. They're a well-coached team. But I just don't think, top to bottom, they're a mediocre roster to me. Also they go 9-8. In last place, I have the Washington Commanders at 7-10. Look, the roster's really good. Brian Robinson and Gibson are a really good running back duo. The receiver trio of Terry McLaurin, who's a stud. Curtis Samuel and Jalen Johnson is really good. O-line's good. They got a fantastic D-line with Chase Young healthy and Jonathan Allen, De'Aaron Payne, and Montez Sweat. But the secondary isn't that good. It hasn't been in a couple of years. I don't think Ron Rivera is a good coach. I wish I could say that differently. He's a wonderful man, but he's not a good head coach. How he's been a head coach for 11 or 12 years is a miracle. And Sam Howell, I didn't love him coming out, but I think his potential will be a good quarterback. But the dude's only has one start. They got maybe the best corner in the league in Bienem, which could help. But still, he's a big maybe. So I got the Commanders winning 7-10. And their schedule is really hard as well. Now to the NFC North. The NFC North is really weird. Every division you kind of, obviously NFL's unpredictable. Every division's going to, certain divisions, like obviously we know who's winning. The Jaguars win the AFC South. We know which winning the AFC West. But sometimes you know the top echelon, the bottom echelon of teams, like the AFC East. The Jets and the Bills are the top two. It goes Jets and the Bills, and then it drops off Dolphins and Patriots. The AFC North is really competitive and really tough, but the Bengals are the top team. And then the Ravens, Browns, and the Steelers are a tier below them. The AFC South, Jaguars, and then the rest. In the Chiefs division, them, and then the rest. Even NFC East, it's the Eagles, Cowboys, and the rest. And then, but NFC North, I don't really know. It's very unpredictable. In first place, I do think the Detroit Lions can win the division. Finished really strong last year, then ended up with 8 wins. Goff has played really well last year. I think offensively they will regress a little bit. Their running game won't be as good going from Jahmyr Gibbs. They had last year they had Jamal Williams and DeAndre Swift. Now they have David Montgomery and Jahmyr Gibbs. But they still think a good running game. Montgomery, if he's healthy, is very good. Plus they have Gibbs, who I think is very good, really good pass catcher. I love Amon-Ra St. Brown. You lose Shark, lose some depth at receiver, but you also look at James Williams starting week 7. I love the young tight end Sam Laporta. They've been raving about him all training camp. Defense is a lot better. James Houston's a guy who had 8.5 sacks last year, kind of came out of nowhere. Remember he's a guy who had 2 or 3 sacks on that Thanksgiving game, kind of came out of nowhere. I think him and Aiden Hutchinson can do a lot of good things. Hutchinson's a beast. You're drafting Jack Campbell will help in the middle of that defense. Secondary was revamped. You added C.J. Gardner-Johnson. You added Cam Sutton. You added a lot of nice pieces. I think secondary will be miles better. They'll be much better defensively. I like what Dan Campbell's doing. I've been critical of him in the past, but I'm really starting to like what he's doing. They're very well coached with Ben Johnson and Aaron Glenn as coordinators, both future head coaches. Division isn't that good that they're in. Lions go 10-7, and they finally win the NFC North. In second, I have the Minnesota Vikings. On top of that, they have also a lot of pieces in the offseason because they had a cap crunch. They were incredibly lucky last year in the one-score games. Not going to happen again. Kirk Cousins is very good, but also he can't play in prime time. Jefferson is insanely good, and they should score a lot with Osborne and the first one Addison there, Hawkinson. I do like Alexander Madison, but still they're very thin at running back. The O-line is not good. And Brian Flores is a better D coordinator than Don Talbot, but the defense sucks. It's horrible. I also have Daniel Hunter, who's getting older, though he did have 10 sacks last year. Not a lot of pass rush. I think they're going to have a lot of time stopping the run, and their secondary is not good at all. Defense still sucks. I'll say they go 8-9. Remember, the division isn't that good, so they go 8-9. The third place, I'll have I'm actually going to go with the Chicago Bears. I think the Bears are at 6-11. They are definitely better than they were last year, but I can kind of see them being like a team like the Jaguars that goes from being just pitifully awful, worst team in the league, to, maybe winning 9 games and sneaking into the playoff, and maybe they steal a weak division. But I don't think it's going to happen yet. I like Justin Fields. I really do. I think he's a good quarterback. I think he's really talented. At the very least, he's hard to game plan against. Khalil Herbert's a really good back. They should run the ball a lot and do it very well. With Khalil Herbert, I really like, this kid Roshan Johnson. I'm hearing they really like him. I love Herbert. DJ Moore is a big pickup. You have Mooney and Claypool as good compliments. I like Cole Kmet. O-line's a lot better with drafting Darnell Wright and the other pieces that you add. I still think they're great on defense. They'll be better adding Tremaine Edmonds in the middle. So they'll be better. But I still think they have a great pass rush. They have a young secondary, which I do think will be a lot better. But still will be fantastic. You know, they have a young coach in Eberflus who I don't know anything about really yet. You know, I think Fields with another year under his belt. You know, gets another year under his belt. The O coordinator certainly be better. But I think they're a year away. I think their year is next year. So I'll say they go 6-11. And last one, I have the Green Bay Packers at 5-12. I think they have a really good defense. I love the pass rush. Front seven's very good. Secondary is solid. Especially if Jaire's healthy, you have Roosevelt Douglas as well, and the safeties. You do lose Amos, but I do like Darnell Savage. The O-line, I don't know if he'll be able to stay healthy. Bakhtiar hasn't been healthy the last couple of years. He's 38 years old. You know, Elton Jenkins can't stay healthy. I don't know if he's playing tackle or guard. You know, I like Matt LaFleur, but I do think he's a little overrated. For Aaron Rodgers, he hasn't really done anything to me. And they should be able to run the ball a lot with A.J. Dillon and Aaron Jones. Very good running back duo. But they are really, really young. Receiver, I like Christian Watson. Even Romeo Dubes I like. Besides that, a lot of inexperience and a lot of question marks. And the main reason, I don't think Jordan Love is very good at all. I know he sat behind Aaron Rodgers for 3 years. You know, the 1 quarter and a half he played against the Eagles, he looked a little better than his first 2 games. The year prior, the game he started against Kansas City, he looked awful. And the game he played the second half against the Lions, he looked horrible. I didn't like him coming out. I hated the draft pick when it happened. I still hate it now. Obviously, you gotta give him a chance. We've never seen him play, really. He's only started 1 game in 3 years. But I'm not high. I'm not expecting a lot. He's terrible. I'm telling you. 5-12 will be their record. NFC South. This division is pitiful. It was horrendously bad last year, and it ain't much better. I have the Saints winning at 9-8. Mainly because their quarterback situation was a mess last year with Jameis Winston and Andy Dalton, and now it's more stable with Derek Carr, who isn't the world beater, but he's a solid starter. They should be able to run the ball really well. O-line should be a little bit better, since they'll be healthier. Kamara will be back by week 4. He's a great player. You have Jamal Williams, who's an insanely good goal line back. Had a great year last year. You know, I like Kendra Miller, the 7th round rookie. I know Mike Thomas is probably going to get hurt, but Chris Olave is a stud. I like Rashid Shaheed. How they brought back Jimmy Graham. That's interesting. They're going to regress defensively. They've had a great defense the last couple of years. They lost a lot of pieces. You know, they lost David Onyemata. They lost Keenan Ellis. They lost one of their safeties lost as well. Still got Cam Jordan. They'll still be a decent unit. You know, Marshall Lattimore still there. Dennis Allen is a pathetically bad coach. In fact, they're better off probably blowing the division leads somehow. So they can fire him. But they're like the best bad team in that division. I'll say they squeaked out 9 wins because of how bad that division is, and they win the division. In second, I have the Carolina Panthers. I have them going 7-10. I like what they're building. I actually like it a lot. I love Frank Reich. They have a really good staff. They're very well coached. But they're still really young. They have a rookie quarterback in Bryce Young. The O-line looks shaky. I don't love the receivers there. Mingo's talented, but I don't know. You know, 3rd round rookie, actually possibly number 1's a lot to ask. Thielen's much older. Not near the same player. Shark's okay. You know, I love Miles Sanders. But I don't know how much they'll be able to pass the ball this year. I like their defense. Brian Burge is a great player. But their D-line's pretty good, but their linebacking core isn't great. I like their secondary, but I just, you know, it's hard to make the playoffs with a rookie quarterback. It rarely happens, unless you have a really, really good team around them. So I'll say the Panthers go 7-10. Not quite there yet, but they're trying in the right direction for sure. I do like Bryce Young a lot. In third idea, when I thought I had them going 6-11. So look, I love Arthur Smith. He's been given really bad rosters, and he's been able to win 7 games each year. Their running back room is fantastic. Bijan's going to be a stud. Algier was really good as a rookie. Cordell Patterson's a nice little gadget player. And they'll be better on defense, but still won't be great. Pass rushers will be okay. Your both Dupree's kind of wash, Undermine is good against the run. Keenan Allen is pretty good. Secondary, Terrell's a really good cover corner, underrated. I love the man, Jesse Bates. Secondary's pretty good, but the front 7 isn't great. I like the O-line. It's a good young O-line, but the receiving core is terrible. Besides Drake London, who we don't even know anything about. Some pick last year, missed a lot of time of injuries. Kyle Pitts coming off an injury. Only has like 5 touchdowns in 2 years, despite being really good, being a 4th overall pick. But I'm not sold on Desmond Ridder at all. I really don't think he's that good. So I think the Falcons go 6-11. In last place, I have Tampa Bay Buccaneers. They are gonna suck. They'll be 4-13. Baker Mayfield is their starter. He is horrible, absolutely terrible. He's the first quarterback in NFL history to play for 4 teams in like 2 calendar years. That's wildly insane. And you think, oh, maybe they get Kyle Trask a chance. The dude was a second-round pick out of Florida, sat behind Tom Brady for 2 years, and he couldn't beat out Baker Mayfield in a training camp battle. Are you serious? The dude ain't good. I didn't like him coming out. I definitely don't like him now. Evans and Gallagher are a very good receiver duo, but the rest of that receiving core is very thin. The running back room is really thin. Rachaad White, who flashed last year, but still 3.7 yards a carry. Now the number 1 back. I don't know. The O-line's horrible. Jensen's out for the year with more knee problems. They shifted Tristan Wirfs to left tackle. Their O-line's a mess. Their defense is ancient. I like Shaq Barrett, Vita Vea, but the run defense will still be very good, but not as good in past years. Pass rush is really a one-man show. I like Devonta David and Devin White. They're very good, but David's getting older, and Devin White doesn't want to be there. The secondary is okay. Todd Bowles is an awful head coach. Very good defensive coordinator, but not a good head coach. Tampa's going to win 4 games this year. They suck. NFC West. I have a San Francisco 49ers winning the division at 12-5. I'll get to Seattle in a minute, but I think Seattle's closer to San Francisco than we think, but I still think San Francisco wins the division. A couple of issues with San Francisco. I do have. Their offensive line is terrible. It's not very good. Trent is the league's best offensive lineman, future Hall of Famer. He is a stud, a brick wall. But the rest of the line is shaky, especially after losing Mike McGlinchey and free agency. It's very shaky, the rest of the offensive line. And obviously quarterback. Besides the fact that they spent 3 first-round picks on Trey Lance and just traded him away for a 4th rounder, and the 3 first-round picks Miami got turned into Jalen Waddle, Tyreek Hill, and Bradley Chubb. And the 3rd-round pick they used on Chad Tyndall, a young linebacker who's pretty good. The team is stacked besides that. I think Purdy, if he's healthy, with this team, can be solid. McCaffrey, IU, Debo, Kittle, go down the list. Defense is fantastic. Bosa and Armstead on the D-line. Drake Jackson's pretty good. Not as deep as they were, but also Fred Warner and Troy Greenlaw at linebacker. Warner's a stud and maybe the best at his position. Greenlaw's really good, very underrated. Hufanga's a great safety. First team All-Pro last year. Don't love their corners, but their corner, I feel like they've been an issue for like 4 years now, and they've gotten by. Coach Shanahan's a good coach. I think they'll be fine. 12-5. Even if Purdy gets hurt, their offense might be good enough, be so good that Sam Darnold could possibly win them 11 games. In second place, I have the Seattle Seahawks. We're having 11-6. I have them very tight with the Niners, but I do have them finishing in second place. I don't think Geno Smith is 1 year wonder. The Jets teams he were on were really bad. He was rushed into being the starter. The 2nd round pick, Mark Sanders got hurt in a preseason game. Rex Ryan should never put him back out there in that preseason game. And, his team was awful, and look what happened. Now he goes to a team that's actually good after he learned his lesson, and all of a sudden, he's a good quarterback. Look at that. I wonder how that happened. Their offense is insanely good. Kenneth Walker and Sean they are back. The receiver trio of DK Metcalf, Tyler Lockett, and the rookie Jack Smith-Njigba, who's really good. The fact that him and Marvin Harrison run one college team is absolutely, it's insanely crazy. It's absolutely otherworldly. O-line's young and improving. The defense, I think, is doing the same. Draymond Jones, adding him up front is a big plus. The front seven, I think, is underrated. I think it's very good. Secondary might be the best in the league. Tariq Woolen and Devin Witherspoon, two really good young corners. Jamal Adams healthy with Quandre Diggs. I think this defense is underrated. I love everything about Seattle. Pete Carroll's a great coach. I got Seattle winning 11 games. And they're going to be a dangerous wild card this year. In third place, I have the Los Angeles Rams. I have them at 5-12. The team isn't good. Stafford's declining. Even if he's healthy, I don't think he'll be that great. I like Akers. And Cooper Kupp's a stud, but besides that, the weapons are few and far between. Besides the tight end Higbee, who's pretty good. The offensive line is terrible. Outside of Aaron Donald, who obviously is amazing. I know last year dropped off a little bit. He got hurt. I still think he's the best defensive player in football. Someone's got to prove me otherwise. There's a lot of other amazing ones, Nick Bosa, Micah Parsons, but so Aaron Donald really falls off. That he's him in my mind. Besides that, they have no other pass rush. They still have 15 sacks, but still, they have no other pass rush. The linebacking core is awful. The secondary is really, really young. I love Sean McVay, but he should have retired. They're in a crappy situation. They give up everything for the Super Bowl, and now they're feeling the effects. Their team isn't good. 5-12. In last place, I have the Arizona Cardinals. This team is pathetically bad. They cut Colt McCoy for at least the first 4 games. They'll have either Josh Dobbs, who has 2 career starts in like 6 years, last year for the Titans, and he didn't look that good. Better than Malik Willis, but Malik Willis sucks. He's not a starter. Or Clayton Tune, a rookie 5th rounder I have no idea. James Conner's pretty good. I like Marquise Brown, but he needs a good quarterback to be a solid receiver. He doesn't have that. Rondale Moore's pretty good. Ertz is pretty good, but he's getting older, coming off a major injury. Offensive line is awful. On defense, they are pathetically bad. Pitiful on defense. I don't know if I can name a defensive player on their roster. Their defense was bottom 5 last year, and they lost their best cover corner in Byron Murphy and their best pass rusher in Zach Allen. And J.J. Watt retired, too. And they traded Isaiah Simmons to the Giants for a freaking 7th-round pick. They might give up 35 points a game this year. They have a rookie head coach who looks like, who I'm not convinced is not James Murray from Impractical Jokers. He looks like a goofball. Rookie GM, their owner's under investigation. This team is a dumpster fire. They're going to win 3 games. 3-14. They better hope they get Caleb Williams, otherwise they are screwed, because this team is horrible. Very bad. Alright, so I'm going to save my awards predictions and playoff predictions and Super Bowl winner for another show. Might be tomorrow. I might try to have a guest on for when I do this, so I'm not sure if it'll be tomorrow, but should be sometime this week. But that's all I have for you guys today. Until next time, so long. Have a great day.